Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, I have encounters from Florida, folks. Weird encounters that have taken place that have been basically written down, and we're going to basically be looking at today. In this article titled, Florida Unexplained Encounters Archive, we'll be looking at just a few of them, folks, but they're good ones. Let's get into this article, and it references prior articles we read before, folks, of similar phenomena down in Florida. Let's get into it now. Florida has long been one of the most active regions in the United States for reports of strange encounters, from dense forest tracks and remote wetlands to coastlines, highways, and tourist zones. Witnesses throughout the state have described events that do not fit comfortably within conventional explanations. Some involve cryptid sightings, others include shadowy humanoids, UFO activity, missing time, odd sounds, threatening presences, and bizarre encounters in or near the water. Taken together, these reports suggest that Florida is not simply producing scattered, isolated mysteries. It appears to be a state where multiple forms of unexplained activity repeatedly surface across very different environments. This archive brings together notable Florida cases, including recent reports from the Ocala National Forest and Key West, while establishing a broader reference point for additional encounters across the state. The goal is to compare patterns, identify recurring environmental factors, and create a central post that can continue expanding as new witness testimony is received and older reports are cross-referenced. Here's one of the featured cases, folks. The Ocala National Forest incident. Or at least one of them, folks. We'll start off with ongoing Bigfoot activity near a residential property. A retired couple living near the Marion County edge of Ocala National Forest reported recurring disturbances beginning shortly after relocating to the area in 2013. Late-night guttural howls echoing from multiple directions became a routine occurrence. On one occasion, the side garage door of their home was found smashed inward while they were away. The wife later described seeing what appeared to be a juvenile Bigfoot, roughly 4 feet tall, in their garden at dusk. The creature, covered in long dark hair, fled into the nearby brush when the porch light was switched on. The couple also noted unusual behavior involving objects left in their yard, including discarded cans and bottles that appeared to have been placed rather than randomly scattered. Another puzzling observation involved the near-total absence of smaller wildlife in their yard. They speculated that the regular presence of large, unidentified creatures roaming close to their property may have discouraged raccoons, possums, and similar animals from entering the area. Their reluctance to photograph the activity stemmed from fear that such actions might provoke the creatures. There are cases of Bigfoot becoming enraged with people, folks, and throwing rocks at, the living quarters where they are, folks. In this case, these people were living in their home. The case I'm talking about basically happened with these Bigfoot throwing rocks at a cabin where the guy and his friends were staying. Can you imagine what it would be like basically trying to live in a home with, Bigfoot like this basically pelting you with rocks or other debris? That does sound horrifying, folks. Either way, let's get on to the next story. Bright aerial light, men in black encounter, and missing time. A Central Florida truck driver described a terrifying sequence of events while traveling along Interstate 75 near Ocala late one evening. A brilliant descending light illuminated his vehicle cab, resembling a helicopter searchlight, yet moving silently. Moments later, an all-black vintage vehicle appeared at a nearby gas station. The driver reported feeling overwhelming intimidation from a man dressed entirely in black, including dark sunglasses worn at night. The figure stared at him intently before disappearing under inexplicable circumstances behind the building. Later, while parked at his workplace, the witness observed strange cloud-like formations hovering low among the treetops. He subsequently discovered that more than 5 hours had passed without recollection of events. His clothing and face were soaked as if he had been crying continuously, despite feeling no sadness. Which sounds truly unbelievable, doesn't it, folks? But we'll hold off talking about these stories until after we finish them all off. Let's get to the next one. Daylight Bigfoot crossing observed by 3 children. In 1989, 3 young bicyclists traveling along a sandy forest road deep within Ocala National Forest encountered a massive bipedal creature crossing their path approximately 40 yards ahead. The witness later described the being as at least 7 feet tall with a human-like face covered in sun-bleached brown hair. The creature exhibited no visible fear or aggression and calmly entered dense woodland. The children fled in panic, struggling to maneuver through deep sugar sand, despite local attempts to dismiss the sighting as escaped monkeys from nearby Silver Springs populations. The primary witness has maintained for decades that the being was distinctly human-like in posture and facial structure. That was a bizarre encounter in Florida, folks, but let's move on to the next story. Tall black-clad figure encounter on Forest Service Road and a separate count dating to 2006, a woman and her elderly father observed a tall figure dressed entirely in black standing beside a remote forest road. As they approached, the individual took several unusually long strides into impenetrable vegetation. After passing the location, the witness noted that the height of surrounding branches suggested the figure stood significantly taller than an average man. The father, an experienced outdoorsman, became visibly shaken and urged immediate departure. He later refused to discuss the sighting, which seems to be the case with several older people who encounter this sort of phenomena, folks. Why? Because I get the feeling they don't want to talk about it because they feel it's demons. If they talk about it, this brings an evil presence into their life, or they just don't want to believe it because it shatters their worldview. Let's now go to the next story from Florida, folks. Gliding humanoid observed above treetops. A woman traveling near Ocala on Route 40 described witnessing a human-shaped entity moving horizontally above the forest canopy. The being appeared wrapped in a dark membrane or cloak with a pale face framed by black hair. The object maintained steady motion without visible wings or propulsion. Both occupants of the vehicle observed the anomaly at close range before it vanished from view. Sort of sounds like it could be a flying, cryptid, folks. Maybe a Mothman encounter, but it doesn't sound like it was winged. But I definitely have heard other stories of basically similar winged cryptids gliding like this. It could be that it's a La Charuza, the Mexican owl witch, or maybe, indeed, it was a Mothman encounter, but I have my doubts as I, feel here, folks. But it has the same eerie vibe as Mothman accounts in general. But let's move on to the next story. Hovering sound and black-eyed figures in the woods. Another case from 2009, two men reported hearing a large unseen object hovering overhead while standing in a driveway near Ocala. Moments later, several shadowy figures with oversized black eyes were observed within the tree line. When the witnesses attempted to approach, both the hovering sound and the figures abruptly ceased. It sounds like this is an encounter with a UFO and, an even more startling alien grazier, folks. But then again, it sounds like these figures were black clad, but they had big black eyes. So you can look at either way, folks. Was it shadow people or perhaps maybe an encounter with basically, the Greys? All I can know, folks, is that this fits the pattern down in Florida, which has remarkably varied terrain from basically, forests, swamp. Don't forget the ocean, folks, with various people encountering various things in that as well, folks, from alien beings to, feeling like there are entities in the water which want to drown some individuals, folks. Some people have reported that, basically swimming and something drags them down, which we read of recently in a video, folks, in which this man says he encountered this seaweed while swimming. He swears that when it touched him, he felt a hand try to drag him down, and he was terrified for his life, folks. But more remarkably, his brother said he encountered the same type of phenomena as well. So all we know, folks, is that people are encountering, aliens, Bigfoot, bizarre cryptids like these, unknown things in the water. There are other people who have encountered even more bizarre things, like basically this sort of swamp plant creature down there, folks, that some people say is Bigfoot, but covered in basically some sort of, swamp residue, basically slime and, seaweed and stuff like that. Some people say it was actually a curse put on the land by a Native American chief. Either way, Florida has maybe some of the most bizarre phenomena going on down there, folks. Well, with all of that weird stuff going on down there in Florida, folks, it's no wonder the people down there have gotten quite the moniker occasionally when someone goes crazy. Florida man, folks. So maybe that part of the country is just rife with such weird phenomena, or maybe some energy that seems to draw this weird phenomena to it, folks. That's the feeling I get about that state and all the weird phenomena that seems to go on in it, folks. Why? Well, we don't know yet. But now, folks, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure you hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.